Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Dream Labs. Dr. Contrast Live here. And before I begin, I just want to maybe alert you to something here. I've been noticing in the last two streams and so forth, there's a lot of banding across the paper surface here, and I just want to make sure that you understand. I've been trying to work with this for the majority of the morning. We have a cable connection problem and so forth. We don't know quite yet what it is, but we'll get that resolved. So hopefully we'll be able to work through this. But with that thought in mind, let's begin the exercise here today. We're going to start to go to a phase 2 system of the electric razors we were working on last week, just doing some very quick, rapid ballpoint pen sketches to get some themes down. And as stated last week, in fact, a week and a half or so ago, we started with an architectural program going through a series of what ifs and step 1, step 2, and 3. We ended that program from an architecture and then moved over to product design, and then we're just going to wrap up the second phase today, taking the selection from the sketches we did last week on the razors and pick one direction and just begin to fine tune and maybe do some variations on the thing prior to before we go into a final rendering for the last series here. So I just picked a couple of sketches out here and the two plays that we did last week. These are some of the sketches we did generate, and I thought it was interesting that we just went through a very rapid series of, as I said, ballpoint pen and add a little bit of media to it and so forth to get a little bit of character. But I think it comes down to it, the selection I'm going to make here to work with, since it's a little bit more appropriate and proportionally correct, is this guy right in through here. So with your permission, we're just going to take a look at that basic form and start to do another series of interesting little concept pieces based on that basic theme. So I'll start the whole process like we did last go around with just a nice little elevation study here. Let's get this guy started. Let's come back in through here. Let's get the orientation correct and come back off of that head system. Rotate the paper just a bit. Just get started with a little bit of a concept here. There it is, that to that. Now let's bring that neck into here and just get that through. And notice it's very round and bulbous, so we can extend that just a bit more here and take that right on through here. And now there's a little bit of a tailor in this thing, so let's kind of take that jacket, so to speak, and run that right into that surface here. So that's going to be part of the, basically of the form here, just to kind of work with it, just nice and loose. I'm back going to get the crown of the head there put together. Come back underneath there, put a little bit more definition or detailing of the shape itself. Just a little elevation study here to get us started. Now we'll kind of just strike in some little concept sketches here, but where the texture changes are going to be, and run it right through the process itself. Just a nice, simple, very quick stain here. You got the side of the pencil to get that shape to work just a bit. Let that go, and come back in and just really hit some line weights here. Just get where the character, that shape is changing here. So that's where that brow is speaking. Let's kind of get a little side of pencil again and get that form to read through that side. Let's get this guy to roll over. A little more line weighting through here. Put a little bit of tone in this thing. The light source is over here, so that would mean, for example, we're going to just pull some little tone work up into this one. Let it fade. Come back underneath this a little bit with some shadow on this guy, and then take that across there where that shadow is going to fall. And there it is, into that form there. Run that through just a bit more. A little bit more line weight in this guy. And just enough of that little switch system here, so a little bit of a recess in there. So let's show that where the on-off switch, and then that little on-off switch is here. So just a nice elevation study here of what this head is going to look like. Then we've got the 3 shaver system up on top, just to kind of put that form in. Roll through this. A little more texture on this side here. Just go through a nice series of what ifs first. Just kind of tone this in. Take it through the shape itself, and there we are. And add a little bit of texture in this thing. If we want to add some character or definition to it, just enough of it, like a comb mold system. Just put a little more of that into it. And let it fade just a bit. And again, just come back and throw just enough information to get that shape to read. There's like an elevation study on phase 1. Just going through some really empathic, very quick little sketches here. Hey, hi Chip, how are you? Good to have you on board, Chip. Sorry for the inconvenience of the screen here, but again, yeah, rocket powered shavers. Yeah, let's go. It's going to be fun stuff here. So I don't know if you caught the first few minutes here, but we're going back to the studies we did last week, Chip. And we picked that basic theme right there to work with as we go through the process here. So I'm just going to start with that and begin in some little facelift studies, like a phase 2 process here of what we're dealing with. So let's go back in again and just kind of go back and just pick this thing up just a bit and just see what happens with going through some variations on theme here. Let's kind of get that into place here and run that through. Now notice we had a jacket system here, so maybe we keep that a little bit more bulbous, and let's just go put that, let's get that accents line right through here. There it is. Just kind of put that into place. Let's get that head in place here. Just kind of trim that off just a bit. Get another element here. Let's take this and then right back into this. Maybe there's another element here. Let me turn this around just a bit here. Make a little longer with the form itself, and then just come back and elongate this shape. Just come back in again and just remarry that form. Just another nice little change of pace here. Variation, looking for theme first before we go any further with this thing. Come back in and just maybe we kick this back just a touch and then roll this shape right back into the surface itself. So it's more of that form right there. So much more teardrop as opposed to being very round. Just kind of put a little bit of impact in this thing. Pardon me as I shift over. Get a little bit of line weight study here. Let's kind of roll this into place. And again, just taking a minute here to refine some of this stuff now. A little bit of shadowing through here where the head begins to finish the form out a little bit. The razor heads itself, just really quick empathic stuff here. Let's go back to side of pencil and run this right through the shape itself. A little more form to it. Let's go back in and add even another envelope on top of this, like another design line and like a mask of some sort. Let's take this into play. Kind of double that up, bring it back over again, and roll that right through. Just a little bit more element here to kind of work with there. So that could be kind of neat. And maybe in that case, that's where the on-off switch might be. That kind of gets buried in here. That goes back. Now let's put this same thing in the surface here. Let's tone this thing through. Stain it in first, then pick up some of the side of the pencil. Just get that shape to read a little bit more. A little more tone. A little more tone, and back to it again. Just round this out just a bit more. Yeah, it's softer. There it is. A little bit of return in that guy. A little warning light of some sort, on off, let you know when it's on and when it comes off and so forth. Let's bring this core in just a bit more. Take that right through the shape and lose it. Again, another little just quick pencil sketch on how to put this thing together. Just looking at variations on theme based on that one we're dealing with here. Let's go back in here just for a moment. Sharpen the stick a little bit. Again, just working in elevations. What ifs? Let me change the format here. Go back to this and really extend this thing real loosely here. Looking at variations on themes. Back into this thing. Now let's get that guy to kind of roll in here. Just roll that through. Let's take that shape, return it. And again, bring this forward just a bit more. So we've got, now the envelope is up on top, so that kind of changes the format here. We kind of tone that back a bit more. Come back into this line weight here and run that through. Get that head to kind of roll in here. Run this through a little bit darker, a little bit more tone, so it's a lot softer. And let it escape just a bit here. Get the offset to read a little bit more. Let's take this through here, and maybe a little bit of access door on the back side of the shape itself for serviceability and battery or whatever it might be. Get that shape to read here. Let's run that through a little bit more. Get the heads up on top of this guy, and there it is there and there. And again, just real loose little sketches here. Let's come back in again. Again, put a little bit of a texture change in this guy. Be a comb mold of some sort. Just let it fade. There's a little bit of a change of pace in there. So what do you think there, Chip? Making sense so far? Helping a lot? I mean, just to let me know what you think here. Just looking for searching to make some little revisions to that first form we did the other day on, I think it was last Friday or so, probably last Thursday when we put together this first format of these razors and the like. So let's just kind of go back and put a couple more little thumbnails in here, just little just gestures. Let's get this down here. Maybe it's more direct, more like so, underneath. Now maybe this wing comes in and goes the other way. Maybe we reverse the shroud just a bit and come back off the body side. And it does that, and it bulbs back into itself here as it rotates out, pardon me. Get the paper to work here for us. Just a little vignette here in perspective about how this guy's gonna work. Just really kind of loosely lay in some sketches here, just some form. Get that down to a science here. Let's put that in place. That might be where the on-off switch might be. And let's get these razors in place. The shaving head, that's 1 to 2, and then 3 of them over the top here. Let's tone that in so we can see where we're going with it. Get a little bit more surface on top of this just to kind of let it fade. Again, light sources underneath here, so let's kind of tone that, get that to read in shadow, and then bring it right out of surface here. Let's kind of get that side of pencil to work again with this guy. And again, a little more bulbous in this thing. There's a little bit of recess in this too, so we can kind of cut that back just a bit. It's going right through the shape. Just about a little bit of perspective studies here on what this thing does. Yeah, these look nice. They do look a bit beefy. Yeah, they're on the big side, so we're going to kind of tail them back a little bit here. Just kind of go back in here and get this guy down. A little bit of surface work here. A little bit of surface through it. And again, a little bit of shadow over the top of this guy to get this thing to read. And again, let's do this. Another little thumbnail here. Extend it just a bit. Maybe this wraps over and forms a nice little surface on top here. Get that crown on the way there. There it is. A little bit of gesture here. A little bit of a tone change underneath. And of course, where the chord is going to come through here, there it is, the power chord, etc. A little bit of tone underneath this guy just to kind of get that neck to work a little bit for us here. There it is, into that radius. Down to this form and through here. Side of pencil, back into it. And again, the razor head itself. There's 1, 2, and 3. Just a little bit more outboard. There it is. A bit of reverse here. A bit of a collar change here. Get that line to kind of run through here for us, a little bit more sway line in it, and a bit of shadow. And again, take that core right through this thing. And some real quick sketches here, just getting a look for shape and form. And how can we get this thing to read a little bit more, a little slimmer, a little bit more aggressive looking here. So let's kind of bring that on through. Let's put a little bit of tone back in this head here, and a little bit more of that impact up on top where those razor heads are. So there's a series of maybe 5 little quick vignettes about how this whole thing, hey, Shadow, how you doing? New shape, Doc. It was something, we're trying, how's that? Just looking at that basic thing we started with, which was this guy right here, looking at that as a form study, just to go back into it a little bit and maybe make some revisions here to find if we can find a nice simple resolve to the first one we're dealing with here. So let's just kind of do this. Sign it, and we'll just start another page here, just get a little fresher with some of these sketches here. So there's phase 1. We're on our way here. Now phase 2, let's see what happens if we go back to that same basic view. Let's kind of open this up a bit here. Get that drive line through, begin to build that upper head on this thing. Let's take that little step here, bring that through, bring that on through. And again, let's kind of get that axis to work first. Let's kind of turn this sideways and get that axis to work from. Now this might be a little more of a forward lean, so we kind of come back and just take it, instead of being so vertical, put a nice lean like so. Get that shape to kind of read in there, just a little more surface in it. And then bring this on in. And again, let's take that shoulder right through this thing and just break it, almost like a severe peak right there. So there's, and let's just run that through the shape. And there's the other side of it right there. That's just a little bit more of it. And there's my center line. It's a little bit more of a peak to this thing. That just stays captive. Maybe this gets a little more extensive here. Let's do this. Let's bring that around here. And that's where the power chord might be. So let's kind of get this guy just a little bit of side of pencil. There's the chord itself. And there it is there. Let's get this shadow to work here. Let's get these surfaces in. 1, 2, and 3. And as they float a little bit, let's kind of put another disc on top of those. And let's knock them out just so they're sitting in that whole shelf up on top here. Light source, get those discs to read a little bit. And again, right back through the form here. Let's get those lines to be a little bit more romantic. Just draw through this guy. Let's come back and get that softness in through here. Let's take a little bit of that side pencil on that far side. Just get the highlight to run, and then just tone this thing in. This is where the action of the change of surface is going to be, right here. So let's get that down. Let's get that line to really thrust it. Separate the shapes. Again, shadow underneath here. Right back into that form, that shoulder. Into the shadow side here, let's run it right on through here. Take that across. There's my peak. That little bright cap across the top, a little more reflective, so it's going a little deeper. And again, on this side, just a little touch, and we'll see that just a bit right there. So there's a pretty strong statement in terms of where the shapes are here. So let's see. Yes, I do that sometimes. Let's see. Hey, Chip, how you doing, man? Let's see. We got more questions here. What might that look like? Let's see. Got good questions here. How about a shaver that you don't have to hold? Yeah, there you go. That's not a bad idea either. You don't have to hold. That'd be kind of neat. What would that look like? Well, that's a good question. Let's get that down through here. A little more color in this thing. Just looking at basic forms here to kind of work with something that's a little more romantic. Let's just kind of do this. Let's put a cross across this. And let's get this into play here. There's my switch. It's going to go on and off. And again, to tell me where it is. And there it is there. And it's on off. So there's a little form study here to kind of get this guy to read. And just another variation on the theme here. So there we are. Shadow. I was thinking like a hover shaver. That would be interesting. So if you hovered over the top, I wouldn't know what that would look like here. Let's kind of go back again there so we can get some kind of sort of resolve with this head on this thing. Let's kind of get this thing to really kind of float down through here. Let's kind of give axis change and really slim this thing up. Just a nice series of gestures here. Now, maybe it goes from a pure round surface up on top down to a chisel at the base, which is kind of interesting. Let's put a little bit of cap on this guy. There we are. Just kind of slim things up a little bit here. Where are we? I was thinking like, yay, there we go. Let's crown this back a little bit. Let's be real honest with this thing. Just simple series of shapes to work with here. Let's let that pencil do the work for us here. Just running through it here. And again, change of pacing through here. And then there's where the chord might be. So that comes out of that. A little more weight into this. Maybe a little bit of a cut line up on top for serviceability. And it has a little bit of a return to it. So it has that going through it. Now we're coming back into this guy here. Let's change that center line because it does come down and roll over. Let's get these heads in. 1, the 2, and 3, and just tan them in there. Just gonna knock them down, get them in place. 1, the 2, and the 3. Shadow underneath. A little more contact up on top. A little bit of recess here for power switch. On and off. a little more of a texture change here. Let's kind of define this upper just a bit more. And just follow through with that form. Well, what do you think there, gang? So far, so good? Chip said maybe a shaver that has a grip like a baseball instead of an... Yeah, there you go. Let's give that a try. Let's see what happens here. We kind of put a variation on that, and it looks like the following here.
Justin does that all the time. He has no idea. Yeah.
What do you think, Chip? Something like that? Having the sounds of a muttering cauldron in the background. Shadow sounds like the doc is brewing some pop. Hey, what do you think, Chip? Is that kind of what you're looking at there? Kind of an interesting little format here. A little bit of a change of pace with this thing. Let's go back and maybe do a little elevation study of this thing. Maybe elongate it just a little more. Maybe the head comes off of this. And it really kind of crowns out. And there's a little grip system backing through here. Maybe that tapers in and does that. And this is where you grip it. And that comes off here. Just a little bit of a stilt here, just to kind of get that thing to read. again, the idea would be to thumb grip it and flip around it here. What do you think? And again, shave since I have a beard. So, hey, all right, that this shape would be more efficient. Yeah, I think you might be right. Just a nice little round surface, and that guy could do the job for us. Chip, you might be correct here. Maybe it's more directive, just doing something like this, where you actually come back in and just be that honest with it. A little bit of an undercut. A bit of change of pace here with the shaving head up on top. Roll that into the form itself. A bit of shadow to it. Could be an interesting evolution there, Chip. Not bad. Come back and just put a bit of shape in this guy. In the chord system. Maybe a little bit of a cut line through here to that for serviceability of some sort, just to give it a little bit more interest to it. And not bad. A little bit of shadow reverse in here. And then this guy can come through with just maybe a little touch of this. It's kind of interesting. Where we just take this beauty and come back in and say it's basically this in section to this. Then it rolls into that finger grip and comes out of itself. And then it comes out of itself there. There's that finger grip into that surface up on top. It's just interesting. That's kind of a neat little approach here. Chip, what do you think? Making sense? Double of baseball in the extreme. Yeah, you could use that to bat around if the shape doesn't go right. So there we are. There's another phase 2 on this guy. So let's kind of frame these in just a bit here. Kind of compose them. Let's put a bit of shroud in here, a little bit of drop to them, to kind of give it a little composition. And just a little bit of surface work to kind of distinguish it. And there it is. A little bit of softness in through here. Composition piece here, and we'll wrap it up here. How's that? So there's a second pass of just doing some little thumbnail sketches here on the what ifs of putting together some shaving systems and processes here and the razor designs, just basically the facelifting from that first pass we're at here. BM Bowling, it's pretty warm in his office today, Chip. Yeah, it is. It's pretty warm. So here we go. Let's go back to another phase here. There's a second pass at him. Go back to something a little more traditional here for a moment. Let's see if we can get this thing to kind of crank a little bit here. A little bit of an axis change. Let's kind of go back in through here and get this process to work. Let's round that out. We'll take this shape right back into itself. Let's bulb this through just a bit. And add another line here. Let's kind of offset it just a bit in elevation. A bit of a change of pace on here for the actual cord itself to kind of be exposed through it. There it is. Let's kind of just tighten this down just a bit more so it's not so much of a loft. Razor heads up on top. And again, just a nice simple little gesture on shape here. There's a little graphic break. A little strong line of separation here. And We're contouring this guy away from the light source. Let that form right back into it. Just really easy, simple gesture shapes here. I'm just looking for a theme to kind of address or work with. Chord, back into that, into this backside line here. Let's take this up just a bit. Just move it into that form there. And again, just for what it's worth, add a little bit of texture change. Just co-mold it. That's where the grip system might be. Actually, might grip it like so. Not bad. Maybe another sketch here. We'll kind of see what we can do with this guy to kind of eliminate some of the mass out of this thing here just a bit more. There it is there. Just a little more co-mold, some softer material to work with. Just another little gesture to deal with here. So would work better. Let's see. I love this design actually. That might, yeah. Is that a pretty? It's pretty. You're talking about the spherical one there, Shadow, the baseball type. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, it is. See if we can go back into it just a bit here and just kind of explore what that possibility might look like here. There it is. Let's kind of come back again with this. Just an elevation here. Just kind of get the trumpet started here. What do we do with this thing? If we go around with it now, does that mean that we extend it just a bit here and then go back much more parabolic like that? And then kind of cut into this thing and just round it out just a bit more. Maybe that's where the grip system is. That's interesting. Put a little shadow in this thing, put some surface into it. That rolls out of that. Right, that's kind of a neat little design trick. Maybe we bring that right back in. I think you guys are onto something here. This is kind of neat. Let's kind of tint this out a little bit. Power chord. What do you think? Another variation on theme here. It is interesting. Yes, it is. Very interesting. Hey, Discord. Say we got any questions coming up? Yeah, I love this design. I wonder if that. Yeah, it could function pretty nicely. What if we took that same approach and started off with that baseball approach here, or the disc itself, and started to do this? Maybe extended it. Interesting. Not bad. See, it is interesting. Yeah, it's just a different way to look at this thing as far as grip is concerned. Maybe, let me see if I can just kind of reorient this thing just a bit here. Let's see what happens if I do this. I'm going to go back to this again. Shaving head, roll that in. Kind of a conical shape coming into this very round surface up on top here. Let's put more emphasis in this line change here. Maybe that's where the grip is. Interesting. There you go. A little waterfall of series here. And there's maybe like a bar or block. So you can shave the moving of the bar of soap across your head. It's not bad either. Just more rectangular. Let's see what that does here. It's just going through some exploratory stuff here, going from one phase to another. And just based on shape analysis, it might be a little difficult to kind of pull that off from a flat surface, but if you had something that was grippable, then you could rotate it in your hand and let the shaving system be still on top to kind of move and be a little more maneuverable. Might be a little less intimidating here. So let's see, we could add some jet engine. Yes, a jet. There you go, jet engine, that guy. So there's another pass that may be a possibility here, what that might look like in terms of being very linear. And again, let's try something here. Maybe it's just more of this. And that's just an elevation study. Of what that might look like. It's a very simple form study here. There's the actual shaving cap itself. And there's the recess for grip. You hold on to that guy and you've got a little bit of recess in here. That has some potential to it. Simplified, keeps it nice and rectangular, slim. Let's look at another view here, just for what it's worth. It's gonna create some stuff back into here. It is nice little round here. A little bit of tone to combine the sketches here. So there's another passage where you're looking at some different variations on theme here. I mean, just really moving away from the typical approach to being razor related, and maybe it's vertical, maybe it's baseball type. You grip underneath there, and the thumb is on this side, the palm on the other side. Again, a very plan view look at what that shape might look like with the shaving head kind of floating on top of that round surface itself. Who knows? It could be another offset like this, where you actually grip it and so forth, and thumb on this side, hand on the other side, and it's almost like a vertical approach to it. Or probably a horizontal approach to it. So there's another series here, third phase. Let's go back and look at one more pass here, and let's see if we can come up with something really kind of. Let's just try that flat system look here. What that might look like here. So if we started there and just built a little bit of a surface here, let's kind of work with this guy. Let's kind of block this in. It's a nice simple rectangular shape. Bit of crown to it. Comes off of here. Little rounder up on top. Now, like the other series are, we're coming back in. Let's put that. No, let's repeat that sketch we just did a moment ago. Let's put a bit of roundness in this thing. Maybe it's that. So we get a little bit of softness to it. And there it is up front. Now we come up with this shape. Go into this section here, and then out of here. Building that shape. Put a little bit of tone in this thing. A little bright accent ring around it. Reverse this just a bit, more surface to it. Let's taper it a bit more. Get rid of some of the mass on the body side itself, and that's the configuration we worked on here. And let's just kind of do this. A little bit of accent where that radius is. And there's the actual form. Now let's put where the light source is coming from. Let's kind of cast a shadow on this guy. And again, up on top, a little more impact on this thing. Let's take this beauty here and put a little bit of a backdrop in it. And that's that. Give a little bit of a frame of reference here. Let's switch gears here for a second. Get those shaving heads up on place here. What do you think, guys? There's a little vertical there. What do you think, Terry? F1 shaver. Yeah, it looks pretty good, doesn't it? The Formula One shaver. Not bad at all. Maybe some wings on it to add the downwards. Yeah. All right, let's try it again here. Let's go a little bit of side view here. Let's go the other way here. Pardon me. Let's switch gears here for a second. Turn this upside down to get a little bit more line thrust in this thing. There's a little separation here, so let's make that happen. Let's come across here with a little bit of brake line for serviceability. Let's come back in through here with a little pill box for on and off. And now we might be getting somewhere with this whole shape. This is interesting how it all comes together. Now let's put a little bit of landing spot underneath here. And that's where the car might be. Again, let's get this razor system here. It's A, B, and C. Let's loft it. There's another variation on theme right there. A little flatter look to it. That star shape, yeah, it could also double as a tricolor. Yeah, that's not bad. Little machine here. Let's kind of wrap it up with this. Interesting. We've come a long way from that first start there, gang. What do you think? A little soft insert on the body side here. A little bit of highlight going through it. Let's take that shape back in just a bit. That's kind of an interesting little form to work with. Take that razor back in. That's interesting. A little more form in this thing. Let's put that pillbox in there for on off. Just a little bit. Get the shadow in this guy. And there's a family of forms there, guys, that got an interesting start from start to finish. It's a whole lot sleeker. I like it. Yeah, it's interesting how it just really kind of slims it all down a little bit. That's a good call, guys. Very interesting call indeed. So let's just kind of back this thing up a little bit here with another one of these. Let me sharpen a stick here, and we'll get at it. Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. Fun stuff. We've taken a real big evolution change here, and I think it's been very healthy. Good exercise, and I appreciate the feedback. Looking at the possibility of the typical approach is just modifying the Remington series or the Norelco series, but doing your own version of this thing could be kind of nice. It's kind of get a bit more line with in this guy. So just some little, very quick, simple variations on theme make a huge difference. And there you go. There's a nice family of forms here, I think, guys. It's been really a lot of fun. It's let me think. What do you think? Those of you who are still tuning in and looking at the process here, what do you think? Some very different variations on theme here, which is very, very helpful to me. That's been really cool. Let's backtrack these guys. Let's see where we started here. Let's see. It's that guy. We went to that guy. We started here. Based on the premise of last Thursday's stream, we're doing this little series of maybe first it was architecture, and now it's product design. And last week we did a series of thumbnail sketches that look like this, just some ballpoint specials, for example. Let's lay these out. This is where we started. This is 2 of 4 we did last week. Just kind of a different approach to some little thumbnail sketch work and the like. And it's really interesting how it all comes together here. We started with some ballpoint pen. Then we stated last week, well, maybe pick one direction and begin to modify it like we did with the architectural piece. So when that was all said and done, we went and picked this guy right here as the front runner to kind of go in and facelift and begin to move into different areas of design or maybe a different thinking process. So it was really a lot of fun to take this guy, and this is where we started today with refinement. This is part 2. What do we look like in elevation? A little bulbous yet, and making some variation and themes and changes and the like, and putting a little bit more sculpture into it, a little softening off of some sort. We started here with a very simple pass of phase 1, pretty well honoring the shape we'd selected to begin with. Then the second step we went into was just getting in, again, a little bit more elongated, a little bit slimmer, some interesting things and taking place here. Then a good feedback coming from the audience was try something that's more spherical or baseball type. Just a little bit on the strange side here, but I think going back in and looking at some of the ways you grip this thing could be interesting, and running a section through it with a little bit of core underneath could be very healthy. So that's a possibility of going to a very spherical look based on the where we started as an evolution study. Then we went back into this. All of a sudden it started to take on some real impact. It went back to a traditional look here. But looking at the very top piece right here, some of that area right in through there, began to take that out of context and begin a real slim line, almost like a real compact razor type, looking at the plan view of this thing. And elevation and more of a side view, and then again a little perspective of that thing and more of a flat surface. Hey, thanks very much, Chip. Appreciate you hanging on there. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. I've got a problem with tomorrow schedule-wise, but we'll see you on Thursday to kind of wrap this thing up. So thanks, Chip. And then again, wrapping it up here, the last phase we did was moving into some more of this variation on thing we did on the 3rd series, more vertical. A little bit more flatter looking, so you're actually holding this thing up instead of having an angle up on top of the head here. So a little bit slower for a surface and a little bit quicker surface. Looking at getting that head up on top, it could be holding it upright. Could be very interesting. It's almost like a slab system here. So a lot of fun here, guys. I hope you had as much fun watching this as much as I had creating them. Again, variations on theme. Phase 2, looking at facelifting the first pass of razors. We're going to come back in, for example, on Thursday and finish up a nice series of renderings. I might pick a couple of these guys and do a nice couple of color plates and marker pastel like we did for the architectural piece. So thank you so much for joining forces here today. And if I've said something right, please tell me. If I've said something wrong, please tell me. I'm really looking forward to staying in touch with you all, and I can be reached there at my email address at jim@drcontrast.com. Feel free to drop me a note about what you think about the program, and if you have any information, for example, or people who want to follow me and then tag along. I'd love to have you be on board here for the process we're working with. Again, thank you, Shadow, for joining forces. A lot of fun here today. Thanks for the input. Some interesting stuff, very interesting things came about as a result of the input here from those of you viewing. So thank you. And again, if you have any interest in drawing programs, pass it on to your friends. That can be reached at drcontrast.com. That's my website for drawing information. And last but not least, as I sign off here today, I really appreciate the time involved, and I really mean this sincerely. It's always something I sign off with, and I think it's very important. Never forget to remember to dare to be great, because you are. Thanks very much, gang. Have a great day, and we'll. One last announcement. Sorry, because of a schedule conflict, I will not be able to go live tomorrow, but I'll be wrapping this program up on this series up on Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30. So thank you very much. Take care and have a great evening, and all the very best. Thank you. Bye-bye now.